when you were working for companies like that, where it wasn't as fun, but you were making good money, how do you decide to stop working for a company that doesn't necessarily, bring you so much joy, but the money's good?
One of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make in my life, because in my 20s, I was working for, one or two companies and in sales, corporate events, in sponsorship. I was earning really good money. I was traveling a lot. And I always said to myself, if I was ever going to go all in on MMA, it had to be a situation where I was able to generate enough money to take care of myself and my family. And I can't sacrifice that. If I was 18, 19, 20, no problem. I can take a spin at this. But I was just in a position where I had some serious responsibilities and I couldn't just say goodbye to the corporate sales job. So for the longest time, I was actually juggling both lives. Like I would be working for this company 9 to 5, and then on my lunch break, evenings, weekends, I'm just slowly starting to kind of climb the ladder and try and get into the business in MMA media. And that at times was, kind of like burning the candle at both ends. I had to make some sacrifices from a social perspective in terms of hanging out with, friends on a Saturday night because I wanted to stay in and cover a UFC event. But ultimately, that's what led me to the position I am in today. So in hindsight, it worked out, but everyone goes through a different journey, and breaking into this business is extremely hard and difficult and challenging. And it's, I think, even harder these days than it was 10 years ago for me, because like so many spots have been taken in so many sectors of the biz. But for me, it was a situation where when I knew I could make enough money to say goodbye to the sales job, that's when I was able to make the flip and make the switch.
In my own career, and I can speak on behalf of people I've also had this conversation with, I've wondered, like, would you rather have a job that you're not super passionate about but pays you really well, or a job that you are super passionate about but doesn't pay you well? I'm trying to figure out really, like, what is the role of work in all of our lives? And I think the pandemic forced us to start asking ourselves a bunch of questions about the ways that we've been operating and the roles that work plays in our lives, because we realize, wait, there's a whole lot more to life than just work. So many people just got taken away from us in the pandemic unexpectedly. It was this major slap on the arse. Oh my gosh, like, this thing can end at any time. I want to have the best life possible, and whether work brings me that or not, I don't care, but I want to build something outside of it. How do you view the role of work in your life?
I think it comes down to the individual, right? And it's how you view your responsibilities, whether it's an individual responsibility or responsibility to others. So I can only speak for myself. Like I said, like for me, I've had financial responsibilities to both myself and my family since I was like 12 years old. And so that's always been paramount, and takes the forefront of all of my decision making that I've done in my adult life as well. And I've also seen a lot of people just kind of say, hey, you know what, the pandemic's happened. I can just now be at home and I can do whatever I want to do. And, oh, I don't want to work in an office 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And I have friends that, work in the corporate environment, and they are now working a few days from home because it allows them to have a bit more work-life balance. It's always a gutsy and ballsy thing to do, to say, you know what, I'm not happy. Even though this pays me well, I'm not happy. See you later, without a plan B, or, without a security net, or without a viable option of something that you're going to do next. I couldn't do that. I'm so risk adverse when it comes to doing anything like that. I need to make sure that I've got something there ready for me before I exit whatever situation I'm thinking about leaving. And I feel like, and again, I'm going to be 40 this year, so I can only speak for myself. I feel like if you can have side hustles, a part-time this and a part-time that, which I've had my entire life, right? That's a good thing, because then multiple revenue streams, then you're not relying on just one pot. And I, like yourself, I'm not as a minimalist as you, but I have adopted a somewhat minimalist life over the last like 5 or 6 years. And as I've gotten older, I've also become very, very frugal when it comes to my money and spending, my investments. And I think that also alleviates any stress and pressure. At the end of the day, depending on where you live, like I 5 years ago, I left London, one of the most expensive places in the world to live, and I moved to Toronto, also one of the most expensive places in the world to live, right? So you got to figure out, what your situation is, what your responsibilities are, what can you make work, what's going to make you happy. And it's not the worst thing in the world to perhaps sacrifice a little bit of your happiness because you're earning a good paycheck, as long as you are putting some effort into getting to that place of 100% happiness, where you can do what you want to do with your life, something that you have an interest in, a passion in, that also then helps you generate revenue and income as well.